So a lot of people have been asking why Gotti or Diamante Kendrick is still in jail, even though he went in front of a judge to get a bond based on what happened to him while he was in jail in the YSL trial. So let me see if I can break it down for you based on what I do know. So we know that he was found not guilty on all the charges with regard to the YSL case, but he still had this incident pending because he got in a tussle apparently while he was in jail and got some charges from that. Well, he went in front of the judge. My understanding is he hired Kayla Bumpus to be his lawyer. And while they were there, this sudden probation warrant came up out of nowhere. And people were wondering, why did this happen? You know, was it somebody's fault that this happened? And let me be very clear. First of all, it is not the defense attorney's fault at all. We aren't often told that there are warrants outstanding. So in his case, I'm not his lawyer, of course, but this is what I can kind of guess happened. So my understanding was he was on probation back in from an incident where he was sentenced back in 2017. So even while he's been in jail this entire time, he has technically been on probation for that incident from back in 2017. Now, as long as you are in jail, you know, his probation officer probably thought, well, I don't really need to do anything about it. But when he finally came up to a situation where he was potentially going to be let out, the probation officer went, well, he did get new charges while he was in jail. So even though he was found not guilty, any new charges you get while you are on probation, I mean, that's a violation of your probation. So they went ahead and put that warrant in. And they don't tell you in advance, hey, you know, they don't call your lawyer and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to go ahead and slap a warrant on him at the last minute. I often think that probation officers do this to kind of screw you because they don't want you to get out of jail. So here you are thinking, today's the day, I'm going to get my bond, and then poof, this probation warrant shows up. I have had situations even where a probation officer has promised my client, not me, but promised my client, oh, don't worry, I'm going to let this slide. And it's a lie. And as soon as you try to get them out, they do that. Are they allowed to do it? Unfortunately, yes, they are. And so someone else had said that he didn't have a date on that probation warrant until February. I don't know if that's true or not, but I can tell you, at least in my experience in Cobb, judges usually only have revocation days once a month. It's not like when you're arrested freshly on an arrest warrant and they have to, you know, have you seen within a certain number of hours. And they often have bond hearings that happen pretty fast. When it comes to probation warrants and probation revocations, they're only done about once a month, which can really screw you because if you get in, let's say, you know, a week before the judge's next calendar, by then that calendar is usually full. And it's even worse during the holidays, right? Because the courts are basically shut down for a couple of weeks. So you get put on the next available calendar. So that could be February. I did have an experience a few years ago where I completely lost my shit on a probation officer in open court. They had picked up my client who was a 17-year-old girl who was pregnant, and they had put her in jail on a probation warrant and forgot to put her on the December calendar. And so I showed up at the December calendar as her freshly hired lawyer from her parents. And the probation officer went, oops, I forgot to put her on the calendar. I guess we'll just have to wait till the next one, which was like late January. And I had a complete nutty in front of the judge, to which point Judge Kell asked me to come back into his chambers with the probation officer. I unloaded on her and the judge agreed with me. And we went ahead and got her out of jail. So this is a good time for people to realize how much power these probation officers wield, because even though a judge has to sign off on the probation warrant, I'm not sure how carefully these judges really look at these probation warrants any more than magistrate judges really look at arrest warrants, right? But the difference is, at least with an arrest warrant, somebody is looking at it again for bond within a few days. When it's a probation warrant, you know, this is a good example. You could sit for a while before you get in a position where you can resolve that warrant and maybe get back out again. There is a shortcut, which is called a consent, where you say, yes, I agree, he violated his probation. Let's give him credit for time served, at least on time served on the probation violation, and let him out. Some places will also give you what's called a probation bond. They'll say, we'll let you out on bond while we resolve this probation problem that you had. But it sounds like for Yak Gotti's situation, he's stuck because he can't get in front of a judge, and so he's going to sit even longer. So again, not the fault of the defense attorneys. They don't tell us, and you can't really know whether a probation officer is going to do it or not, and sometimes they lie. And oftentimes even the prosecutors don't know either. So unfortunately, he is stuck in that position. It does happen to us. It's so frustrating. So I always tell my clients when they're looking to get out on a bond, when we're going through that process, hey, are you on probation anywhere? Do you think you might have arrest warrants anywhere else? Because even if you're not on probation, sometimes when you're about to get out on bond, some county pops up and goes, oh, hey, I know you have this guy. We want him on an arrest warrant in, Douglas or in DeKalb or something like that. So different ways you can get snapped up kind of out of nowhere. It's super frustrating. And I do feel for him because he's been in jail for so long on charges that he did not commit. So I just hope the best for him and his poor family having to go through the holidays with this. But hopefully that kind of explains what happened. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know the specifics, but I'm guessing it was kind of a surprise for everybody.